I guess we're live. Yes. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mrs. Giovinazzo, and it's, an enormous privilege to be with you this afternoon. Thank you very, very much to the partners of the Fabulamundi consortium for having invited me to these happy hour talks that I hope will be a good hour of nice conversation with, I find some very interesting people of whom I do not know much, and therefore it is again an enormous privilege to be able to share these 60 minutes with all of you this afternoon. When I was thinking about this conversation, I first of all asked a question to Claudia Di Giacomo as leader of the Fabulamundi project. I said, why happy hour? Why talks? Why, what is behind all of this? And she said, well, the situation, the circumstances are the circumstances that we know here and everywhere. I'm in Barcelona. We're all spread out throughout Europe. It's terribly hot here. And she said, we would have wanted to finish the Fabulamundi project in a different way, with possibly a big conference as European cooperation projects go, but it's not been possible. So we just have to, abide by what is possible. And what is possible today is meeting online and chatting online and talking online. So the talks are in this framework, in the framework of the Fabulamundi project, in this last leg of the project. And as far as I can understand, to provide for spaces, again, of exchange, of conversation on what Fabulamundi has been, on what Fabulamundi has provided, both to the members of the consortium partners, but also to all those that in European cooperation jargon are called beneficiaries, a term that I don't like at all, but which is very much used. So it is about this exchange, again, between those that have organized and those that have participated. Happy hours, I was thinking about this as well. Happy hours is about entertainment. Happy hours is about getting drinks at half price in most of the Anglo-Saxon world. You go after work to a bar and you get 2 drinks for the price of 1. But we don't have the drinks now. Maybe just a glass of water, yes, to face the heat. But I was surprised because, yes, it is about entertainment, but I know that I am pretty ignorant, especially of, performing arts and theater. So I went and checked on the internet, what is the origin of the happy hours, the happy hour term. And apparently, yes, it comes from the United States, and it has to do with entertainment, and it has to do with people getting together, socializing with a drink, blah, blah, blah. We know all that. But what I didn't know is that Wikipedia puts the meaning of happy hour. It relates it back to William Shakespeare's King Henry V play, right? There's a verse where he says, King Henry V, he says, therefore, my lords, omit no happy hour that may give furtherance to our expedition. So I thought that, wow, fine. Wikipedia, which is the basic of the basic and, trying to get some information, puts this as the first meaning. It's, of course, one of the possible origins, but I thought that it was nice, starting with, again, a famous playwright that wrote some verses that mention the happy hours. So as William Shakespeare would say, with no further ado, let's go into the conversation and let's try to make the most of these 55 minutes that we have ahead of us. I am with 4 wonderful people, 3 wonderful women and a very interesting man, Claudia Di Giacomo from PAV. PAV is the leader of the Fabulamundi project, as I have said. Claudia, you are celebrating this year your 20th anniversary of this enterprise that you launched with your partner, Roberta Scaglione. So congratulations. It's a great milestone, 20 years. You've done incredible work, and all the best for the future. So I hope that we will be able to celebrate these 20 years when we have the possibility to meet. We have Tamara Susoy. Mulțumesc. I been to Romania. The godmother of my son is Romanian, and it's a country that I love very, very dearly because I started to work there back in 1989, many, many years ago. And one of the first places that I visited in Bucharest was the Odeon Theater. So, you know, I was there. I've seen also some plays at the Odeon Theater. So, well, wow, you know, it was like coming back a little bit to, you know, also a part of my personal history when I started off working in the field of cultural cooperation, especially in Eastern Europe. So you are a big theater, a very well-known theater. You know, many, many years, 1946, you were founded. You have a permanent staff, artistic team. So you are a repertoire theater, which, I mean, does not need much presentation, I think. I guess that when you were chosen as a partner, it was also because of all this history that you bring with you in a country that I find has, as far as I'm concerned, and again, from my very big ignorance, a very relevant, interesting history in theater production, creativity, playwriting, etc. Really, one of the best plays that I have ever seen was in Bucharest. Yes, I don't know. You guys do great work in theater, so you know, chapeau, as they say in French. Nathalie, you're French, yes, chapeau. You are a playwright. I know that you have, well, worked a lot with Fabulamundi, but that you have an interesting and relevant experience as a playwright, but not only as a playwright. And I think that with Bogdan, who is also Romanian, but you are based in Berlin, if I'm not wrong, Bogdan, right now, and you have traveled to and fro from Europe to the United States. So you have also this bridge between both continents. I hope that Natalie and Bogdan will share with us their take on, as far as their participation in Fabulamundi is concerned. I would start with giving the floor to Claudia, please, because it's, I mean, it's protocol and it's, I mean, we owe it to you, Claudia, as the project leader. And my first question is not about Fabulamundi. It's not what Fabulamundi was about, how many residencies you have organized, activities and whatnot. But I would like you to give us an insight as to, when you look back now today, what has Fabulamundi represented for PAF, for yourself, and how you see the lessons learned from PAF as regards this project and the cooperation with its partners and the exchange with the participants. And I will always use the inverted commas because, again, it's not a term that I like. But with all those professionals that have taken part in this wonderful project, please go ahead.
Well, thank you very much for your stunning introduction, Mercedes. And I really thank you all for being here. It's very nice to start with Bogdan and Natalie and Tamara, because actually we share a long way together, because actually before Fabulamundi there was Face à Face, and it was just an exchange among Italy and France. And so this was actually back into 2007. So it's many, many years now that we've been working with the international promotion of playwrights. But if I look back, I just see ourselves been traveling a lot, always as suitcases, because we've been traveling all over Europe and a lot in France, and then after in all the other countries, meeting amazing people and having the chance to go in this long time frame as we are now has given us a chance to build relationships with the authors, with the partners, with the people. Of course, not with everybody, but you know, we have some special and dear relations with many of the people on Fabulamundi, and this is actually a gift that of which I'm very grateful. What it meant for PAF has meant a lot, because actually we have been able to empower our capacity, our skills. I mean, given that we were, European project, we had to learn a lot of things. All of us had to learn a lot of things. So there's been a lot of peer-to-peer learning among the partners. I'm on the way to be in Europe and what Europe demands and what can give you also, because the local impact for European project has been quite impressive, because thanks to the fact that we were belonging to a European project, we could be listened by, local fundings, local authorities, given to the fact that we were an international project. Nobody could say, no, we don't give you our support, we don't give you our interest, and so on. So this was really structuring our organization, which is an independent organization. So we needed to find the co-financing for Fabulamundi. We needed to go and search for money and for new collaboration all the time, because we're not publicly funded just because we live. So we have to be sustainable through the project we've done. I think the last edition of Fabulamundi, which is the one we're closing now as funding, because it's from 2017 and 2020, we've been a large scale. The great idea that we had, it was to try to build up formats which were not just, the traveling of a text and the author for one night, but it was, to build together with the authors something and to have them stay for longer times in the countries. And both Bogdan and Natalie have been visiting the countries and doing work for at least a week in each of the countries. So they had the time to experiment, the time to create, the time to have residencies. And so that was, I think, very, very important. And also the chance that we've been given by creating this MoPro program, which was a mobility program for playwrights, which was open for everybody, for the playwrights, or even the one which were not chosen by the other partners. It was very fulfilling, because even if some of the playwrights would not really enjoy understanding what they were supposed to do in these 4 days in another city in the world, and say, what am I doing here, and so on. But then after, everybody just told me that they recalled this few days as a trigger, which have helped them to be part of a community, which is very difficult to build when you are to international projects, because their projects are big as a whole, but they're very small when you go into a local thing. So you can just maybe see one reading, you can just maybe see a workshop, so you don't really gather the idea of the big process which is being started. But with Fabulamundi, and through the fact that the people were connecting much more than before, we had the sense of the richness of the project and the richness of the process that we were actually building, which is through human artistic relations.
Get my finger going with the mute unmute here. Huh? Sorry, takes me that half second to do it. Yeah, we're just to take it a little bit further, Claudia. You raised an issue which is maybe a lot down to earth, but let me put it on the table anyway. You mentioned the importance of having the consortium for Fabulamundi, and of also having to raise the co-funding. For such a big project as this one, you must have had quite an important amount to raise as co-funding. So if indeed it is something that you have managed to do, it must have been that the project was very well seen also in the different countries and from other potential funders, right? In that sense, it has been successful from a merely, technical point of view, in the sense of the management of the project, correct?
Yes, very much. Of course, it is also, each part of Fabulamundi is different, because such as, for example, the Tour de On, it's a public theater entirely funded by the city of Bucharest. So, for them, it was a different scenario, of course. But Tamara will tell us, I was told that for the city of Bucharest, it was very important that they had international projects. So even if I'm not wrong, correct me, Tamara, even when there were money problems, the fact that they were in an international project, they were saving the money just to, to be to be, let's say, punctual with the payment towards the international. So while, for example, the other, I mean, we gather festival theater, public theaters, we gather also independent organizations such as PAB, for example, the Wiener Roststätten, they are an independent organization and have the same problem as we have to every time find the other fundings. But given the fact that we needed to find other fundings, we could develop a lot more activities because, of course, not all the funding were given for doing the exact activity of Fabulamundi. Some funding were given for doing, you know, maybe other things. And so we had to adapt our format in order to create other ones. And so it was a very creative moment when we say, okay, so we could gather this funding because we are doing Drama Lab, for example. The Drama Lab of Fabulamundi for our side were born just in order to comply a specific funding, which was for under 35 authors, which was conceived as residencies abroad and so on. So we just invented kind of spin-off of the project. And that I think is very creative, very important. So the search for funding was also the search for new formats and new creativity to give and to take into the project.
Thank you. So Tamara, spinning off from that, given that you are, you know, a public funded city theater in a way, for you, having been a partner in Fabulamundi has meant, and I put little dots, I cannot unmute you.
So I did it myself. Is it all right now? Okay. I was very pleasantly surprised to hear that you visited already Odeon Theater. This is really great. For us, the adventure of Fabulamundi started 8 years ago with the pilot edition, when we promoted only the Italian playwrights, and with every new edition, the project has became more and more powerful and enriched through translations, readings, workshops, and full productions. As Claudia mentioned, yes, being a public theater subsidized by the City Hall, when we were going through a crisis, financial crisis, our management decided to give a priority to Fabulamundi project concerning financial aspect. So to everything go very smoothly. So we could continue the project very well all this time in the past editions and also in this third edition.
Let me put it otherwise. You represent a theater, okay?
Yes.
You are a theater. You are an institution. You are a public cultural institution. You are a repertoire theater. Why would you need to participate in a project such as Fabulamundi? What is the added value to what you already know how to do as a job?
Yeah, before Fabulamundi, we had a tradition in promoting contemporary dramaturgy. We had readings to promote Romanian author mostly. So the Fabulamundi project came very naturally to our repertoire and our interest in promoting what is going on in the drama field. That's the value added, and the fact that I had the chance to discover so many interesting authors and so many interesting plays to translate and present, and also to have the authors present during these events and talking with the audience, with the team of actors and the director, and also to have workshops with the playwriting students from the theater faculty. That was the added value of this program for a theater, for a repertory theater.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's important from my point of view, because it means that although you are an institution, there is a profound curiosity to go beyond the well-known and search for other realities and learn also from other experiences and provide opportunities for playwrights. May I go on with you, Bogdan? Yes. Unmute your microphone.
Hi.
Hi, Bogdan. You do many things, huh? You write plays, but I see here that you do documentary theater, you compose videos, you produce.
You have my bio, yes.
You do many things, and you've been many places, and
yes.
you've received awards. And I mean, you're young, and you're in your full-fledged career right now.
Just a small observation before we start. You introduced me as a man, and I don't identify with that.
Okay.
I'm a queer person, and I'm not represented
Fine.
by the binary label. Thank you.
Okay, I'm fine with that, and I respect it very much. I just didn't want, we find ourselves in the reverse right now. Sometimes, as a woman, we're always trying to, how can I say, demonstrate that, we're also there. And in that sense, I felt, but, it has nothing to do in any way whatsoever with the profound and deep identity that each one of us, I think that, each of us has a very specific personal history. And,
no, it's my mistake. I should have put that on the bio. Probably it should be like the first thing on the bio. No, it's fair. So people know how to address you, of course.
Okay. Well, next time.
It's my mistake, and I just wanted to mention it.
Fine. Go. Okay.
Hi.
Point taken. So just in this professional development of yours, which has meant a lot of moving from here to there, again, going to the States, you've crossed half of Europe, you've had awards, you've had scholarships and fellowships. Being in Fabulamundi, being with colleagues that do partly your same job, has it been, again, what are the lessons learned? What do you take away from Fabulamundi, as in very personal terms, Bogdan? Don't give me the spiel.
Well, I was one of the lucky ones in this project to be part from the very early phases, like from very, very beginning of the project when Romania became part of the project. And one of the most amazing things is how the feedback and the needs of the playwrights and the participants were heard, and how this program developed and transformed, addressing those needs and addressing the suggestions and the proposals that we had. Like, yes, it started more like promoting, presenting, introducing playwrights from a country to another, but then towards in the last couple of years, for example, the working experiences and the fact that you get to spend time either with a private company or like independent theater, like my experience with Sala Beckett in Barcelona, for example. I was there like 3 times, and I had amazing experiences. Or working with Industria Independiente from Rome, for example, with Martina and Erika, or with the Venice Open Stage Festival. These are all places where I've either been several times, or I spent more than, as Claudia was saying, at least more than 1 week. Like, and it feels like you build these professional relationships that are for a lifetime. It's not just like, oh, here I popped, I'm gonna show my play and then ciao ciao. It's like the fact that it became into building this artistic community around Europe, and these shared experiences, and the fact that we can identify and we can find each other through this network, and we have common experiences that we share through the Fabulamundi programs, and then the level of conversations is already another one, because we all have these experiences together, and it was I mean, it still is amazing, and I hope it's it's gonna go on. I mean, not in the online form, which I detest, but yes, just to give you an overall of my Fabulamundi experience. And also, of course, aside the fact that you get your plays translated in all these languages, and that you get introduced to all these audiences that you would never have access to otherwise. Like that's also something something very important. But they're all like long-term investments in a way. Like those translations will ever be there, will ever be accessible. These relationships that personal first and professional relationships that we develop through these programs are also incredibly valuable. So I don't know how you write that in European Union terms of beneficiary and results, and you know what I'm saying, but like how to translate that in things that are measurable and quantifiable for them to report. But it's amazing.
But that is what exactly, I was trying to bring forward. I find that unfortunately for all of us, we have to abide by the rules of the game. That is, when we receive funding by whichever donor, and in this case from the European Union, we have to, respond to a certain number of requirements. And these requirements are always, as I said at the very beginning, how many activities, how many participants, how many translations have you done? This sort of very quantifiable indicators that leave
indicators,
out,
that was the word that I was looking for.
That's the word, that leave out completely that intangible part that you have brought out, which is my personal take experience, also my emotional experience that will help me in, my professional development. And there is the further element of how hard it is for us to make the case from the cultural sector that what we're doing makes sense in the bigger picture, and that the short-term impacts, well, maybe, but the medium and long term, as you were saying, it's an investment for you in personal terms. So that I find, thank you for that, Bogdan, because you hit the nail on the head, and you've said it very, how can I say, in a very sensitive way. So thank you so much. I will come back to that. Let me just give first round the floor to, last but not least, Nathalie. Nathalie, well, here your biography says again that you are a playwright, yes, but that you also, direct plays, and that in particular you direct your own plays. So I was wondering whether that is, a stance that you take all the time, or that whether you're open to other options. But you have been also very successful. And from what I read here in your biography, through Fabulamundi, you will be staged in Teatrul Odeon, for instance, this autumn, I guess. Somehow you will have to tell us how, but I heard before from Tamara that the theater is open and is starting to, again go on stage. So that's wonderful. And you have also worked very hand in hand a lot with Pava in Rome last year. And as Bogdan, you've been here, there, you've been, commissioned by the Comédie Française, which, well, is again another flagship institution in France. So Nathalie, again, the same question is for Bogdan. What do you take away from Fabulamundi, and from a very personal perspective?
I take a lot. You know, it's. I think this project was made for me. You know. Yeah.
Tailor-made.
No, I've always. It's very personal, but I've always. I've always been fond of languages. I speak several foreign languages, and I've always dreamt of. I don't know. Europe was always the space I was living in. You know, even very young, and it comes from my family. I think I don't know from the history because I love languages. I'm very curious about history also. So I'm still very curious about our common history, about also about all the differences. And so it's, I don't know, it's really my space and time. And so I'm very concerned also about the building of it. And I know that we have to build it also as citizens and as artists. And so this project was just waiting for me. I don't know, I was waiting for it. And I really hope it's just a start, of course, you know, this, I really hope. And I think it's a start because I met so many people. And of course, my plays were translated in many languages. Also I had, it's so, you know, what is very reassuring for me is that I love my own language, you know, my homeland is my language, the French language. So I work a lot on language, and I was very scared not to be translated because of that, you know, because it can be an obstacle sometimes, you know. And when I realized that my plays travel, you know, and they need good translators they need to work also on the other language. But it's I don't know, it's just a gift for me to see that because it's a real question every time for a playwright, you know, who are you talking to? What are you, you know, it's also a responsibility to know what do you want to what do you want to write, or what do you want to raise, or and who will you talk to, and who will you touch? And so when borders open and so you realize you touch people in Romania, in Poland, in Italy, in Argentina, and it's it's very reassuring, you know, because I write plays from my homeland, so I speak about very intimate things, and to see that it can, you know, be more wide open, it's so important for an artist. Also, it's theater people. I'm not playwright plus director plus teacher. I'm just a theater woman, and we're so. I realize with the time we're theater people, we need so much to meet people. You know, we're too much isolated. So also this network, this European network, is so important for me, and it's so simple somehow. So simple to let's meet each other, let's go and see each other, let's go to your city, let's go, and it's so simple, and we don't do it, you know. and so yeah, it's I don't know if I answered the questions. There are many. It's yeah, I'm very happy with Fabulamundi for many reasons, and I really hope it's just a start, you know. And I really hope
that's what I wanted to take from. Why is it a start, and how do you think that not Fabulamundi, but what Fabulamundi has been for you can be developed further? Just go a little bit beyond that, please.
It has to do with the common language we can share, or even with our differences, you know. We live in the same space, and I've never taken Europe for granted. I've never taken nothing for granted as a woman, you know. So I know that you have to fight for every space of a place where you can speak out, with create, you know. Everything is there are obstacles for everything, you know. So just to I hope this network, yeah, is a start. Also maybe that that's a brilliant idea, but I know, you know, Italian people are very European, or used to be, but still are. I mean, it's yeah, yeah. We're always very committed in that, and because it's a project, you know, it's not. It's a project to build at every level. I think keep on talking, keep on exchanging, keep on discovering each other's, and it's. And I think theater also is a. As a, you know, it's an old archaical art, so we all belong to this I don't know, we have the same roots somehow, and it's yeah, it's nice to check what you're doing here, there, and again, what I like is that we are so different, you know. Even the 10 French playwrights, we are very different, and all the people I've met are very different, but we belong to the same same space and path created, and Fabulamundi, they created a frame, and we need that. We need also to check that institutions are okay with that, you know. You know, because
Nathalie,
as artists we are very isolated, and we have no power at all, you know, no money, no power. So it's great to see that we can, you know, be together with the institutions also to build something. Bogdan, yes?
I'll come back to that last thing, art and power. I would like to go into a second round of thoughts and time. You know, I'm looking at our ticking clock. But before I go into the second round, we've heard a lot of beautiful things, right? But should you say one negative thing or something that you would say, not like this, not again, you know, maybe differently? Could you say something, Bogdan, Nathalie? Let me see if I can. Bogdan and then Nathalie, come on.
Yeah, no, I just want to add one thing. I mean, regarding what Nathalie was saying, I think what Fabulamundi created, and it's incredibly yes, very strong, is a platform for cultural translation, which is way beyond than the language translation, where we just you just try to translate a play from a language to another, but then also the cultural translation. And I mean, we're all in this small continent on top of each other, but really we don't know so much about each other, and a lot of things that one takes for granted in Romania or easily understands are completely sci-fi to a country like Czech Republic. Like, these differences are this cultural translation, actually, yes, is something that is also something that I wanted to add about the value of Fabulamundi. And I think that is a process that requires time. I don't think that's a process that can happen like it's this exchange. It's like weeks of spending time together or getting to know each other, and then finding corresponding things of like, oh, but like this happens this way there. What's your understanding, and what's the corresponding thing in your culture, in your community, in your area? And a negative thing would be I don't know, misunderstand, like disrespecting the playwright, and institutions that choose to not communicate with the playwright and taking the work or the play and doing whatever they want because they think that they're anyways doing you a favor, because otherwise nobody's gonna present your work. I think that would that's something that can be more watched after and paid attention to. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Sorry, I should have said not, you know, a negative, but a critically constructive
I try to
approach
put it that way.
to
I really
Fabula
try
Mundi,
to put it that way.
But that was great. No, you interpreted it perfectly. So thank you. And yes, this has come up in the conversations that I had with the team. Indeed, you know, sometimes this perception that you might have had that you know, there is Big Brother taking your work and not respecting it. And that is an act of faith that one has to do, but at the same time, you know, one has to stand up for one's rights. So yeah. Natalie, any constructive criticism?
Constructive, yeah. I would say it's about translation. I think it's so important, you know. It's who said that the language of Europe is translation. It's an Italian writer, I forgot who said that. So I think, yeah, I think it's also because I speak different languages, and I'm always scared when, you know, when I have no contact with the translator during the translation. I know that many things are tricky in my plays, and I have experience. I have a lot of experience in translation, very good one and very bad one. So I think it's very, translators and good, very good theater translators should be important partners in such a project. It has to do with Europe also. Otherwise, no. You see, there's no English people here, and we're all talking, speaking in English, which is, and during the Brexit, and they're gone, you know, and they're gone, but they left their language. I love them. I miss them, you know. But also this, which I don't know. There's something to do with. There's something to do with about languages, about the translation, about I don't know. Also, maybe we could speak Spanish together. Now I don't know. This we should, yeah, involve translators maybe more, and in a closer relationship with playwrights, you know. In my best experiences, I had they asked, good translators ask many questions somehow, you know, and they want to know, also the perspective, how and why you write this or that, you know, even if you don't have the answer. It's also important, you know, there's always a body, there's always someone behind behind a play. Writing is not just an abstract thing, you know. And so it doesn't mean we control everything. It doesn't mean we have all the meanings of our plays. That's not what I mean. But my good experiences in United States, for instance, they were very curious about what I thought about that, what I wanted to. And I could say, I don't care, you know, you can choose. But there was a very close communication. I think it's all about communication. We can always improve that, all of us. I mean, me also, you know. So something like that.
They say that a good translator is a good interpreter, right? That is in, you know, contact exchange and understands and interprets and transforms into that other language what is being said in the, you know, initial language of a text. So yeah, it's something extremely complex. I would say that requires a lot of respect on both sides of the game, right? From all the players involved. I think that the organizers are going to sound the alarm of the last 15 minutes. I think that, you know, I need to take this a little bit further in these last 15 minutes. Fabulamundi has happened over span of years, and the last, this 2020 has been overly complex for all of us. We have lived we live in an ongoing crisis, which started as a health crisis and has become an economic and social crisis. The question or the thought that I have for you and that I would like to hear you about this is in this specific time of history that we're living through, with this Europe in constant, you know, coming and going, crisis, not crisis, etc., in governance systems that are luckily for all of us, based on human rights, the rule of law, democracies, still we have been through a very hectic period, which has not yet is not yet over, and which has entailed, as far as I can see, and I am convinced of what I'm saying, you know, a serious curtailing of what I think we can define as our basic fundamental rights. Mobility is one, but also possibility of association, but also the possibility of expression, etc., etc. As people that work in and for with the cultural sector, you know, as playwrights, but as managers of public cultural institutions or private cultural institutions, how do you see, I'm not talking about Fabulamundi specifically, but how do you see your jobs right now, your future, your professional future in this very specific context, from this perspective of how we are going to evolve in, you know, a system which is seriously under threat, I feel. Anyone would like to take the floor? I hope I've been clear. If I have not, you just tell me, but the bottom line is complex moment, difficulty in living normally in the systems that we have been used to. At the end of the day, is there a risk for what our principles, values are, and our governance systems today are also as well?
May I?
Of course.
Well, it's a long, I mean, it's not just one single question. It's a,
No, but your thoughts, Claudia.
Okay,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
thoughts. I was just thinking of trust and care as words. I mean, because I think in this situation, we need much more trust in each other. I mean, the European cooperation is a lot a matter of trust, and trust in the way the other work, the way the others are respecting our work. So the 2 points, for example, they were saying, Bogdan and Natalie, are exactly the points, which the weaker point, because of course we have to really care of this single passages, how a partner is working on a single text and how a translator approaches his work of translating other words. I mean, given the new situation, I mean, we really don't know yet what is going to be in our work, because this is always a transition. Now it seems to be a transition towards a moment in which we come back to our reality, which it might not be the thing, because actually we don't know really if we're gonna be back. I think the matter of trust and the matter of caring how the others work will be crucial in order to step out from all this. And I think we've learned a lot of good things. I mean, we were not investing that much on this digital way of connecting with people. And I think we have learned to do it, even if for us, live performance is really our means of communication. So we cannot renounce to the meeting of people. But I think there will be always integrating more the digital live perspective. I mean, it's a news of this day, today in the last days, that actually all the Fabulamundi playwrights decided from themselves to stand for the Hungarian students which are protesting against our ban system. And so they have just, you know, profited of this big community that we have somehow started to create, because it's not really already created. And I said, okay, why don't we act as Fabulamundi playwrights to go against this and to be aside with the students in Hungary? So we as share or whatever you want to do in order to, you know, doesn't matter. That could be a positive lesson that we're going to learn. And let's hope that we can integrate once our life will be back on more physical and live events. Let's keep this, I think, as a new way of connecting.
Bogdan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky and privileged to be in Berlin, and the state here, the Senate, the federal, like everybody is very aware about the relevance of the cultural scene and about the relevance of artists. And there's been a lot of ways to get support through this crisis in order to either find different ways to continue your work or just pay for your life and your everyday expenses. And saying that from my perspective, I think on a global level, not just on a European Union level, um, a good thing, I mean, a solution for this crisis would be the universal basic income, and without questions asked, and everybody having, as you said, human rights, but also the right of having a space where to live is a human right, and that's not covered anywhere in Europe. And most of us, all we need is a laptop, but then we also have to pay rent and all these other things. And saying that, I'm really concerned about what's happening in Romania, honestly, in terms of the independent cultural scene, which got close to no support. And a lot of the independent theaters in Romania will not be able to continue their activity. And a lot of these theaters, if not all of them, are also doing those jobs and works that you were talking about that public institutions would be supposed to do, but they never do. So maybe the public institutions that get funding, no matter what, from the Ministry of Culture, can find a way to share that also with the independent scene, which otherwise it's just going to disappear, and it's just going to be again 30 years of work vanishing like it would have never happened.
Thank you for that, Bogdan. For association, Tamara, you are in Bucharest. By association, sorry.
To add something to what Bogdan said before about the independent scene, what is going on now in the theater field concerning the public institution, we are open to help independent theater by giving them the possibility to present their work on our stage, because otherwise they cannot sustain themselves. Even if they are allowed to be open, the income would be too small because of the rules to keep the distance. So
but are you also paying the artist, or you just giving them the space to present their work?
The space and the income from the ticket selling, they will
wow.
their
Okay.
income.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the.
That's not much, considering that you have 30 seats in the theater, and if you have a performance with 5 actors.
Yeah, we don't have a big scene with a big auditorium, you know, but we are allowed now to be open to half of the space. So we have 150 seats instead of 300, which is more than 50 seats, which maybe an independent stage would have in the hall. So this is the difference.
Yeah, maybe you can find a way to also pay them and not let them rely on the ticket sale.
Yeah, we should see the legislation about that. Yeah.
I'm sure that's right.
Thank you, Tamara. Natalie, your last thoughts. I can give you 2 minutes.
In 2 minutes, I can't say anything smart, you know. I can say
yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes,
no, I don't know. There's, I don't know. We have to deal with the unpredictable now, and which is the most weird thing for European people or Western people. You know, it's so far away from. We were built so much on prediction, on futures, that everything is collapsing. So I don't know. I have nothing. Well, I could speak about the French situation, and I don't. But it's not in 2 minutes, and I don't know how what's going to happen. We're talking a lot about culture in France, culture, and you know, culture will be helped, but nobody talks about artists. So that's my biggest concern, because you know, there's culture, there's art. Sometimes they connect, and sometimes they don't. And so I don't know. In 2 minutes, I don't know.
No, that was great, because I will take it from the word that you have used, unpredictability. We have to accept that we are in an unpredictable context. We don't know what will happen tomorrow. And I think that that's, you know, a nice way of rounding up this conversation. I cannot but thank you all. It's been a pleasure being with you. And if you allow me, I will take 1 minute. I have written down a series of words that I have found key from what you have said. And starting from this, you know, last word that you have mentioned, Nathalie, unpredictability, I have here adventure, Tamara. You said that Fabulamundi has been an adventure, and adventure means a lot of things. You have said, Nathalie, also that it's about theater, which is an archaic art that belongs, I would say, consubstantially to the human being, as we are as a species, as a matter of a means, of expression. You have said, Bogdan, that it is about cultural translation, and that how important this is, I would say, moving a little bit further from your thought, in the building of this Europe and in this unpredictable context. And three other words. Bogdan, again, you said an investment. In any professional endeavor, we invest. We invest today and hope that tomorrow we will reap the fruits of our investment. Claudia, you have spoken about the community a lot. This community that you have brokered, that you have helped build, and that is a start to something that will go further. And to finish, the last words that you have used, Claudia, and with which I would like to say goodbye to all of you: trust and cooperation, or the reverse, cooperation and trust. Because without the capacity to cooperate, we will not move forward. Worse, even in this unpredictable environment that we live in. And trust is something that is absolutely paramount in human relationships, because it is about respect, and it is about a shared endeavor, and let's say a vision of what, you know, the future might be. So trust is something that if you have managed through Fabulamundi to build this trust in this community, well, I think that, you know, you can we can just raise our hands and clap, because it's something that it is not always a given in these contexts. So again, thank you very, very much. I think that, you know, I'm right on time. Thank you, all of you, the four of you. My pleasure meeting you. And well, I hope that sometime in the near future, I will have the privilege, the pleasure of meeting you in person. Take care. Lots of care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi.
I didn't know if I had to close or not.
We're still live. We're still live. We're still online.